get our medicine today and all of our cures for diseases and illnesses? Do doctors just whip them up with perfectly proportionate ingredients so that they can't hurt you, let alone kill you? Well, that's not exactly the case. 115 million animals are used every year in animal testing of medicinal drugs and other forms of chemicals that we use in everyday lives. And today, morals are such a big thing. This is considered as highly immoral due to how we sometimes torture these animals and affect them in ways that very few people know about. And sometimes the desired effect that we're looking for doesn't even happen. So today I'm going to discuss why animal experimentation for medicinal uses is just something that shouldn't be continued. So first off, like I said, it's very immoral. It started around early 1900s. And since then, it was originally viewed as moral and safe since they didn't consider it was moral to use humans as subjects. But it's not moral at all. Humane Society International says that animals in these areas they were being experimented on were force-fed, kept away from food and water, held down so that they couldn't move, and various other just inflictions upon them. And when these animals, after all the stress and such, were getting close to dying, they would kill them with CO2 asphyxiation, neck breaking, decapitation, or even other more violent means. So then there's this thing called the Animal Welfare Act, which was set up by the government to prevent the abstract basically it was made to prevent people from doing a lot of harm to these animals while being experimented on, but it hasn't been doing a very good job of doing that. So one example of this is there were 338 violations of the Animal Welfare Act in 2009 at the New Iberia Research Center, where they focused mainly on primate research, since humans and primates are so similar. Many of these were wounded. There were videos of infants being taken away from their mothers, being experimented on while still awake through painful procedures, and there were several things that happened. Then in 2011, at a different site, there were 3 baby mice that were being experimented on, but were left in a plastic bag with no way to breathe on a counter without being supervised. So, as you can see, it's not exactly the most moral practice in the world. Now I'm going to discuss why this is dangerous towards us. Humans do tests on certain animals like chimps and mice because we have surprisingly relatively close genomes. A chimpanzee has 99% match to our DNA, while mice have nearly 98%. So because of this, they think that since our DNA is so closely matched, that any results that we get from them should reciprocate to us, but that's not the case. For example, there's this drug called Vioxx that was used to treat arthritis. While it showed more results than they could ever imagine on tests on mice, it caused nearly 140,000 deaths just in humans, despite our DNA being so similar. And then a hepatitis B drug that had been previously tested on animals, it caused severe liver damage to many patients. So there is one thing that we could use instead of this, and that is in vitro, which is basically using human cells as our experiments, basically. Not from actual humans, they're artificial. They resemble human cells in almost every single way, and they give much more concise and better results that are supposed to be safer for humans. So, in conclusion, it's not very moral as we keep torturing these animals nearly to the brink of death, and even we are affected by this as a result.
I'll stop you there.
Yeah.
John?
Why don't more doctors use the other way to do it?
It's not very well known. That's one of the main reasons. And like I said, the animal experiments have been used since the early 1900s. So it's been a bit more trusting method. And while there have been a lot of casualties with animal experimentation, the effects from it, there are still several drugs that have been used from animals and have caused many lives to be saved with humans. I can't remember off the top of my head which ones, but there were quite a few big ones. Yes, sir?
How much of this cruel testing is done in third world countries, developing?
It's mostly done here in the U.S. Like the one place that I mentioned before that had the chimps, it was located in Louisiana. And most of these areas are in the U.S. where these tests are done. But in places that are a bit more developed, like Japan and China and some other third world countries. No, those aren't third world countries, right? But in places like that, there is testing going on, just in better developed countries.